Heaven has abandoned me. Heaven has abandoned me. The historical record begins with an old man crying out into the void, weeping so uncontrollably that he physically collapsed. This is Confucius. At this point in his life, he commanded an organization of 3,000 disciples. He was the ultimate Stoic sage, a man who claimed that by 50, he perfectly understood the will of heaven. Yet here he was, shattered by the death of a single person. Out of that massive following of 3,000, Confucius harbored a deep, specific reverence for 3 distinct students: an ascetic who lived on nothing, a hot-headed warrior, and an international titan of commerce. The true weight of a master's teaching lies in how his students ultimately choose to live and how they choose to die. Their actions serve as the final stress test for everything the philosopher spoke in the classroom. His first extraordinary student was Yan Hui. Yan Hui lived in a cramped, crumbling dirt alley. Every meal was a single wooden bowl of rice and a ladle of water. Most ambitious men would have left immediately to find a wealthier patron. Yan Hui stayed, and he maintained an absolute, unshakable psychological joy. The ancient term for this is nakdo, the ability to find deep pleasure in the path itself, completely neutralizing the pain of external poverty. Scanning this dense vertical column of ancient text gives us a sense of the sheer volume of complex information a scholar was expected to master. Yan Hui's intellect was so sharp that Confucius noted he was the only student who could hear a single fragment of a lesson and instantly comprehend the remaining 9 parts. Then, at 32 years of age, Yan Hui died. When the other disciples tried to pull Confucius away from his frantic wailing, reminding him that a sage should maintain composure, Confucius snapped back, "If I do not weep for him, who else is there to weep for?" Yan Hui published no books. He accumulated 0 wealth and held no political titles. He secured his immortality solely because his internal integrity was so pure that his absence broke a legend's heart. Zilu was the exact opposite. He first approached Confucius wearing a wild boar skin vest and a hat jutting with rooster feathers. He was a physically imposing, deeply arrogant brawler who walked into the academy fully intending to mock the intellectuals inside. Instead, the philosophy of the master humbled him. Confucius saw the raw, violent courage in Zilu and forced him through a grueling psychological filter, Meta-cognition. The master relentlessly drilled Zilu to look inward, forcing the proud warrior into the agonizing discipline of admitting exactly what he did not know. Decades later, a violent political coup erupted in the state of Wei. Zilu was outside the city walls. The rational, calculating move was to turn around and flee. Instead, he drew his weapon and deliberately walked straight into a fatal trap because the official he was sworn to protect was trapped inside. Surrounded and struck by enemy blades, Zilu fell, but his final physical action wasn't to swing his sword wildly at his killers. He calmly reached up, carefully retied the strings of his scholar's cap, and chose to die as a gentleman. Sal sin se ongen, sacrificing the physical body to achieve virtue. Zilu lacked the quiet refinement of the other students, but he was the single student who subjected the master's teachings to the ultimate physical stress test, weaponizing his own death to prove the philosophy worked. The third student, Zigong, operated on an entirely different scale. He was the ancient equivalent of a billionaire, a master of international diplomacy, and a titan of commerce who casually negotiated with rival kings and commanded massive trade routes. Looking at the intricate, expensive details of this ancient bronze vessel, we understand exactly what Confucius meant when he evaluated Zigong as a hulian. It was a high compliment, comparing him to a precious ceremonial object. But it was also a targeted critique, reminding the billionaire that he was still just a container, highly capable, yet limited in his ability to grasp the absolute highest spiritual truths. Zigong accepted this limitation. He built his vast empire on a single strict internal gatekeeper. Whenever he identified a lucrative opportunity for profit, he forced himself to evaluate its moral justification before he took a single coin. When Confucius finally passed away, The disciples observed the customary 3 years of mourning by his grave, and then they dispersed. Zigong stayed. He sat at that quiet earthen mound in total isolation for another 3 years. 6 full years, willfully hemorrhaging his prime earning potential and global influence to guard the dirt where his teacher lay. This 6-year vigil played a critical role in cementation of the school's legacy. Zigong treated the preservation of his master's memory as a more vital pursuit than his own vast fortune, using his influence to ensure the philosophy reached the centers of power. 2.5 millennia separate us from that grave, yet whether you are sitting in a glass boardroom or awake alone in the early morning hours, you are being judged by the exact same metrics. Can you endure absolute discomfort as long as you hold true to your purpose? Can you admit exactly what you do not know, yet stand firm enough to die for your convictions? Will you sacrifice your most valuable years for a loyalty no one else will see? These 3 lives demonstrate a different path to wealth. Abundance comes through reducing what you desire, rather than infinitely increasing what you possess. The ancient root of the word passion literally means to suffer. It represents a willingness to endure profound damage for a belief. It is the steady endurance of hardship when things are at their worst. True devotion is the grueling, unglamorous act of long-term memory. The ultimate proof of any philosophy is found in the student willing to live it, bleed for it, and sacrifice their prime years to ensure it never dies.